Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 451. My name is Adam Patterson. With me today we've got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, hi.
This week on the show, we're going to be talking about Jordan Peele's Nope, which is playing now in theaters. We're also going to be going over some we're watching on the watch list and going over this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That'd be very helpful. I don't really have any housekeeping. We are continuing our Fantasia Festival coverage. We just took a week off because Nope came out, and that's a biggie. Next week, we'll be coming back to continue talking about some of the movies that are screening this year at Fantasia, and there's also going to be some written reviews publishing on the site as well, so stay tuned for that. It's a good festival so far. I saw a bunch of stuff, and I still have a bunch of stuff yet to see, so very exciting. With that, I think we can jump into Nope. As I said, this is written and directed by Jordan Peele. I have a synopsis here. Residents in a lonely gulch of inland California bear witness to an uncanny, chilling discovery. Now, I don't know how much is it okay to talk about this movie as far as the plot? Is it one of those movies where you just don't want to reveal anything about it?
That's a difficult call, I think, because I think that's what made this movie work the most for me.
Especially because now I thought that it was possibly an alien thing. I think that that's pretty evident from the trailer. Yeah, now, to what extent?
Yeah.
To what extent, you don't know. You don't know the details. But you know that there's some sort of being, there's some sort of creature, there's something flying in the sky and doing something. That's really the extent of what you know about this. There's a UFO type thing happening. So I think that that's all we'll really get into unless we want to talk. But if we do spoilers, we'll tack it on at the very end of the show. But I literally just got back from seeing this, so this is completely fresh for me. I haven't really had a lot of time to think about it and to kind of stew over it, but initial impressions, liked it quite a bit. I found this to be a lot more fun than Jordan Peele's last two films. And that's not a dig on his last two films. I think that those are really great too, and I enjoyed both of those very much. But I feel like this one has a lighter tone than his last two films, and I actually found that pretty refreshing. I enjoyed just the more comedic aspects of this one. And overall, there was a lot to like with this one. I enjoyed Nope very much.
Good. I did as well. It felt very much like a summer blockbuster. Because the only thing that I could think the entire time watching it is I was just thinking, oh, this is Jaws. This is his Jaws.
It's Jaws. It's Tremors. There's definitely some...
There's a Tremors vibe to it.
Yeah, there's definitely some elements of Tremors in there, which I love. I talk about that movie all the time. So there's elements of that in there. And it was just fun. I had a blast with it. There's a really great scene where they're gearing up. There's an awesome gear up scene, and you're just yes. And it's just it's just an exciting, energetic movie, and I had a blast with it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the stuff that me and you like. A lot of what I would consider throwback things, like the gearing up sequence, and also just just everyday people coming together. Kind of like a ragtag team.
I liked Angel a lot, the Fry's employee.
Yeah, coming up with their plan, the whole planning sequence, everything about it was just it was fun. It felt like an old school blockbuster to me, and I just had a shit ton of fun with it.
I agree. I think that it does feel like it is very much a popcorn movie, more so than Jordan Peele's other movies. But I think that it does elevate itself above a lot of like kind of like Roland Emmerich type. Like this
Oh
is
yeah,
this is
yeah,
definitely a step above Independence Day, I would say.
yeah, yeah. I would say like in terms of yeah, because I could see saying a like a summer blockbuster. You could because that's what like the Spielbergs have been replaced with, but it feels like a classic blockbuster to me. You know what I mean? Like the old
Hmm.
school Spielberg, a big a big spectacle, which of
It did,
course is
yeah,
kind of
it
one of the
did.
themes of the movie. But
In a lot of ways, it did feel very Spielbergian. There was a little bit of an Amblin vibe to it, and I think that the score is one thing that helped with that. I really love the score in this, and it's not usually something I notice too much. It had this like a little Western twinge to it that I think complemented the aesthetic. And yeah, it just I don't know. There was like something that was oddly wholesome about this movie that really got me.
yes, yes, I 100% agree. The other thing I like about this is in terms of you know, let's say thrillers or horror movies or anything that a lot of what we've been watching over the last couple of years, a lot of the times what happens when we're watching them, and this is true for me, and I think it's true for you as well, is a lot of them are pretty formulaic, and the majority of the time, you as a viewer are out in front of the movie.
Mm,
Like,
hmm.
you know where it's going, you know what's going to happen, and you're kind of just like, hopefully they prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. And most of the time, they don't. Like, occasionally, there might be a tidbit here and there that kind of surprises you, but for the majority of the time, you're like, yeah, that pretty much played out the way I thought it would. Here, I didn't have that. I was just like, I was being led along as I was watching it. I was back, I was further back, and I was just, okay, you guide me through this.
Yeah, I was just along for the ride. I didn't know where it was going. I wasn't even speculating in my mind. Like I wasn't trying to look, multiple steps ahead of where the movie was. I was just along for the ride, just enjoying it. And where it goes, I didn't see it coming. I didn't really see where it was going. And the other thing is like it doesn't take any kind of like harsh 180s or anything like that. It doesn't try to like M Night Shyamalan the
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
where it's just like, "Oh, it's modern day." Like nothing like that where it completely changes the whole tone of the movie or whatever. It is, a fairly straightforward sci-fi horror movie, and I liked that. Um
yes.
I think that you can make a straightforward sci-fi horror movie and just really just use a if you have a good enough script. The script here is great. I loved the dialogue. I loved all the characters. I thought were great. The dynamic between Daniel Kaluuya and Kiki Palmer, I thought that them as siblings, I thought that it felt real, it felt natural. Loved Kiki Palmer in this. I thought she was just a complete badass the whole time. As I mentioned, I liked Brandon Pereira as Angel. Michael Wincott is in here, which was a surprise. I didn't know he was in this
He
because
plays such a
I've been trying to. I really tried to avoid everything about this movie. So I went in as cold as I could. I love that his name is Antlers Holst. And, um,
yeah, and I love the elaborate over the top scarf deal.
oh yeah, yeah. We need more Michael Wincott these days because hopefully this is something that like completely revitalizes his. I mean, he's always busy doing stuff, but hopefully this will like knock him up into some like bigger roles and stuff. So yeah, oh yeah, and Stephen Yeun too, who played Jupe.
Jupe.
Jupe. Always loved Stephen Yeun. I think he's a fantastic actor, and
And
I
I
liked
gotta
his.
say, I love the little sequence, his little scene of the just over the top reverence for Chris Kattan which I
Oh my
truly
god, yeah.
appreciated.
Where
Just
he was
truly appreciate
describing. There's a whole scene where he describes an SNL sketch.
I just love like as soon as he starts describing it and he's going through the cast, you're just like, it's got to be Chris Kattan.
Oh yeah, you
You
knew
got to be.
you know, yeah. In a movie that's fairly unpredictable, as soon as that anecdote starts and he's talking about the Gordy incident, you know damn well that Catan is playing
Yeah,
Gordy.
and I this again is a testament to Chris Kattan and what he did, what he represented for that period of time is he does that little anecdote, and of course, right off the bat, I'm like, well, Chris Kattan played Gordy without a doubt. And then I even thought I was like, that was that a real SNL sketch? That might have been because like I could see it in my mind's eye, like I could see him. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think they did that.
Well, he did play like a monkey,
Yeah, he
like some
did the
sort of
thing
chimp thing, right?
where he
Eat
would
the apple.
smash the yeah and just spit
Yeah,
it out in your face.
that's right. I remember. Yeah, I
And
remember
then,
that.
a hop, skip, and a jump away from there, you could see him tearing Anna Gasteir's face off.
Yep. I thought the whole Gordy thing was very fascinating. Like just that whole
Well,
little side story thing.
and I gotta say to me, I thought that was a little bit of genius from Jordan Peele here. Is like you, I went in pretty damn cold. I think I only saw the initial trailer, which I don't
Hmm.
really remember, to be honest. So I kind of go into this. The only thing I'm thinking is I I'm pretty sure it's about aliens. I haven't again in what context I have no idea. It's about aliens though, I think. And then that's the introduction that you get in the movie, and you're just kind of like, oh, wait, what? Could this be about something completely different? Like what?
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah. Hell of
appreciate
an
that as a
opener.
misdirect, but also playing into the overall theme of the movie.
I thought that everything that Jordan Peele did in this was, I mean, he's just a hell of a director. I mean, he's such a good storyteller. The fact that there's like so many Easter eggs and callbacks and links and different things that like realize like things that boil to the surface, scenes that seemed insignificant, previously come out, and you're just like, oh my god, I remember that
Yeah.
that, that one thing. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's something that I thoroughly enjoyed with the references and stuff. Is the storytelling is in like every aspect of the movie. Like
Yeah.
there's this scene where Kiki Palmer puts on an Exuma album, and that whole thing ties into Exuma being a Bahamian artist, and the lyrics of that song kind of play into the story of what you're watching. It like every aspect plays into the storytelling.
Yep. It's like the level of detail. It's definitely one of those movies that if you can go back and watch it again, and you'll pick up like 35 more things that you didn't pick up on the first time through,
Yeah.
which I love.
And I gotta say another thing this is something that I realized like later on in the day after I watched this movie, which doesn't happen a lot, which tells me that even if I wasn't sure, how much I like this movie or not, is the further I was removed from it, the more I wanted to read about it. Like I wanted to read reviews. I wanted to see what other people were saying, which normally does not happen. I usually do not care
Right. Yeah. Same.
what other people have to say about a movie. I just, like maybe a little curiosity to see like what the overall feeling is towards a movie, but not like this where I'm like, oh, okay, I want to read more about this.
Yeah. Same. Unless the only other thing, sometimes if I see a movie that's like clearly like polarizing or has that especially movies that are like marketed towards a mainstream audience but like don't have any kind of like mainstream qualities, I always kind of check to see like what people say about it and stuff. But yeah, other than those, I rarely look into what people are saying, but this one I definitely want to look into it more and see what people are saying about this one. More than Us, even. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I actually I think if we were like ranking Jordan Peele's movies, I think that this would be above Us. Is just as far as pretty much. Well, I liked Us a lot, but this one I think I don't know if I liked it more than Get Out, but I would. I mean, it's still like
Well,
the
I
dude.
think that yeah,
The dude's
like
such a good director.
yeah. No, he's good. He's really good. Because I could see this going both ways for me. Because for me, on just like a pure entertainment level, I think this ranks the highest. But in terms of, because I could see people saying that this is a letdown. I could see that. I could see people saying that it didn't meet their expectations, that it was a bit of a letdown, that it wasn't as maybe complex as the other two movies. I can see that. But that didn't hurt it for me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that it was the same complexity as Us, but like I don't think it needs to be.
Yeah,
Like I don't,
and I don't.
and I think it's foolish for anyone to like expect that of Jordan Peele. I don't think that he wants to like box himself in like that. I think
No,
a lot of the time he just comes up with cool ideas and just wants to tell those stories. And I don't know that he necessarily wants to be like, this with each of his movies having this like super deep
I
meaning.
will. I will say I think that this one uh, sh- was a better showcase of him doing like set pieces,
Oh
like big
yeah, yeah, big
elaborate
time.
set piece
Yeah.
where you're just like, okay, like I'm pretty sure he can do anything. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if there's a weakness in his craft
You're right.
at
Yeah, I
this
mean,
point.
yeah, there's multiple set pieces in this that are really really well shot and are like super thrilling, tense, exciting, like still keeping the comedy going, like even in the most like kind of tense moments, he still keeps that comedy going. And like Daniel Kaluuya in this is so funny because there's like certain moments where he's not even saying anything. Like there's a scene in the car. Again, not going to give any spoilers away, but there's a scene in a car where he's just sitting there and he doesn't say anything and he doesn't do anything, but just his like blank expression as this thing is occurring is just so funny without him really doing anything, just him kind of looking straight ahead. And I think that it just feeds into the whole like the title, like Nope being the perfect title for this movie. I it's just so good. I had such a great time with it.
Same, same.
I'm grinning ear to ear, Kevin.
Gritting year to year. Yeah, this was quite a in terms of like, I don't really go to the movie theater that often anymore because it's a 30-minute drive for me now.
Yeah, which
So,
sucks.
I got to be kind of invested to go to the movie theater. And this definitely did not disappoint.
Absolutely. Yeah, highly recommend. Oh, and when I went to the theater today, there was like nobody in the theater, and there was only like maybe five other people in the screening that I went to. So that was
Wow.
nice. Yeah,
There was actually a lot in mine, and I went to a 10:45 showing.
10:45. Wow,
10:45.
jeez, they didn't even have showings that early at the, the theater I went to, Queensgate. All right. Anything else you want to add about Nope?
I also I gotta say I thoroughly enjoyed the alien design.
Yeah, I did want to
So
mention that too.
you know,
I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of the things that I was kind of surprised about and really impressed with was just the design, like the creature design.
yeah, because it starts out pretty
It's awesome.
straightforward.
It's yeah, like I think that they did such a good job with it. At times, I got a little bit of a fire in the sky vibe at one point, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But
Yeah,
yeah, it was good.
I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right, let's go ahead and give it a score. I think I'm sitting at like an 8 on this one.
Yeah, I'm thinking 8. I might even bump this up because I'm kind of feeling like I already feel as though that this is lined up in terms of like a rewatch, like a movie that I come back to,
Oh
which I
yeah.
don't have a lot of those. I don't have a lot, to be honest. Occasionally here and there, but this is one I could see like slowly getting worked back in, like every 2 years or something like that.
Yep.
So I could see this growing over time.
Yeah, I think this definitely is rewatch worthy. This is currently like my number 2 movie of the year. I think that Everything Everywhere All at Once still squeaking ahead, but this is like right there
Yeah,
with
I
that.
mean that's a pretty good show. You're 10 minutes removed from the movie, so give it
Yeah, I
some
mean
time. It
it's
might, it might. Who knows where you'll be tomorrow morning? You don't
yeah,
know.
and again, like before the end of the year, I'll probably see this again. So
Yeah,
it might squeak up there.
yeah. I have a feeling that as soon as this drops on streaming, I'll probably watch it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. That's Nope. That's in theaters right now. Highly recommend going to see that. I think that Jordan Peele is a force to be reckoned with. He is 3 for 3, and that's actually a very rare thing.
Yeah, and I should say this. I feel like by the time that this is out, most people have seen it. You just got out of movie theater, so you probably have no idea. But when you get a chance, check Jordan Peele's Twitter account because he tweeted out the like kind of like the opening credits sequence of Gordy's Home, the TV sitcom.
Yes.
I think you'll
I'm
really appreciate it.
I'm definitely going to be looking at that right after we are done here. Gordy. Gordy's. Oh my god. What a show. Like I said at the top of the show, I am covering Fantasia Fest in Montreal right now. So I got a couple here that I can talk about. And then next week we'll talk about some more stuff. And then, like I said, there's going to be some written stuff as well. The first one I'll mention is Next Door. This is a dark comedy directed by Yum Ji Ho. It is a sort of a mystery thriller. It's about a guy who is trying to become a police officer, and so he's studying for the like entrance exam, and he realizes that he took the entrance exam a couple times and failed. He's gonna try for like I think this is like his third time. And he realizes he only has $1.68 in his bank account, so he calls up his friend. His friend loans him. His friend agrees to loan him some money, but he has to come out with them and go out for a night of drinking. So he reluctantly agrees, even though he knows he has to study. Wakes up the next day in his neighbor's apartment, and his neighbor is seemingly dead in a pool of blood on the floor.
Oh no.
And well, he's not even sure that it's his neighbor. He just sees that it's like a dead body covered in blood. He wakes up, not his apartment. He's covered in like bruises, scratches, cuts, all this stuff. He has no idea what happened. He was completely blackout drunk. So the movie is just him trying to put the pieces together of what happened, all the while of trying to avoid getting caught because he's kind of trapped in this room, and it's sort of his own fault. But the landlord's trying to come in, the maintenance people are trying to come in, fix the boiler. So there's like all of these things that happen. It's just a series of goofy little set pieces that happen, and it's not very funny. Like I didn't find it funny at all. I don't think I laughed a single time. The main character, he is very annoying. Like his acting, he's just so over the top. Like his character is just so over the top and like overly expressive. And we see that a lot in like South Korean comedies. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it comes off as being just like way too goofy and cartoonish. And that was kind of the case here. That's not to say that it's a bad movie. I did enjoy it, and there are a fair amount of twists and turns that happen here that kind of caught me by surprise. Like I didn't really know where this was going. It's largely set in two apartments, so like the neighbors and his, and they're very small, so they're like little studios. So it's a very contained movie as well. But I guess I would give it like a very very light recommend. It was sort of right down the middle for me.
Hmm.
But again, that's called Next Door.
I watched apparently a bunch of sci-fi stuff. I guess to run up to Nope.
Ooh, ooh.
One of them is Logan's Run from 1976.
Oh man, a
Michael York,
classic.
Jenny Agutter. Logan's Run.
I never actually saw this whole thing. I only saw parts.
I gotta say the production design on this movie is something else. Like the sets and everything, the costuming, like all of it is just it's out of this world. It's so great. It's a throwback style in terms of like people thinking the future was gonna be future fucking ristic. Not just like oh we're gonna make everything clean and clinical. Everything's just white. No, this is the 70s, baby. Everyone, it's got colors, it's got all sorts of stuff. It is just incredible. And the whole premise of Logan's Run is just this incredible city under these domes. It's seemingly idyllic. The only thing is you can't turn 30. You get rejuvenated with air quotes, which is just means that you float up like you're in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and you float up and you get zapped by something. I don't know what they get zapped with, but they die. And so sometimes people run. And our man Logan, he's a Sandman. He goes after runners and he kills them. That's what he does. That's his job. So he gets tasked with trying to find this place that these runners are supposedly going to. So he kind of goes undercover and tries to get there himself. And he ends up learning a whole mess of things. The truth is the number one thing, I guess. But there's some weird stuff going on here. There's a robot in an ice fortress, which I don't understand what that's about. I honestly ended up with a lot of questions at the end because it seems really straightforward, right? You can't turn 30, you die. And he's like, oh, I'm going to try and find their hideout where they're running to. But he ends up outside the world, and it's just, it's silly. It's silly, but it's also kind of great. Because you just don't really see this anymore. You don't see this hyper futuristic shit.
Yeah, sounds pretty wacky.
Yeah, it's a little tough to get past the old timiness of it because a lot of it is silly. But if you're able to get on its wavelength, you'll enjoy it. You'll have fun with it because I did.
That's what always kind of prevented me from seeing it. Like I said, I've seen tons of clips and stuff, and I just don't really like that aesthetic. So I think that's what kind of
Which is
prevented
understandable.
me
I
to.
completely understand. It is funny though that Michael York at the end he's kind of being interrogated by the supercomputer, and you keep in mind that you can't turn 30 here, and there's like other Sandman around, and
Hmm.
there's two specifically behind him that look like they're like 58 years old, and it's like why why would you cast guy like there's no way that they're under 30. Come on now.
All right, that's Logan's Run. I saw Dark Nature. This is directed by Berkeley Brady. This is a sort of a creature feature, a little bit. It's about a group of women who all suffered some sort of trauma, and they go to the forest for this like wilderness therapy retreat type thing. And yeah, there's a creature out there. There's a creature out there in the woods that starts hunting them down. And the weird thing is like before each of them like gets attacked or whatever happens to them, they like experience their trauma. Like they kind of like it kind of manifests itself, and they relive their trauma. And it's just not very good. This is not a very good movie at all. The creature design is pretty poor. It's just like a humanoid type of creature that just like it just looks like a person covered in blood, pretty much. It almost seems like they were trying or it seems like there was a lot of inspiration from The Descent here, but not anywhere like close to The Descent. It's not actually very scary. The makeup effects are like okay, but nothing great. The performances are middling at best. They're pretty rough actually. And I think that the kind of average script it doesn't help matters, and it just not a lot of it made sense to me. Like the whole like was the creature causing this trauma recurrence thing, or was it like in their heads? Like they weren't. It was like part of the therapy where they were like experiencing this, and if so, like it seemed like the whole movie like the creature represents the trauma that they were suffering, like one of those deals. But it doesn't make a lot of sense when a lot of them just got killed, like just straight up murdered by this creature. And like some of the women were like, some of them didn't really seem to have any kind of major trauma, but they still got killed. So like, what does that mean? And like, it's just messy. It was just messy. And I didn't really enjoy myself too much with this one. So unfortunately, I can't really recommend Dark Nature.
I watched Final Destination 3
Oh boy.
with the roller coaster. It's the roller coaster one.
Is this the one where there's the scene where the person's getting their hair cut? Is it the hair?
No.
Okay.
No one getting a
Not this
haircut.
one.
I don't
That's
think.
probably the next one then.
I mean, one guy kind of did, but that was just because an engine was going through the back of his head.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
for a
yeah.
split second, he was getting a haircut, and then it entered his skull and then his brain, if you want to count that.
Yeah.
Final Destination 3. This one, I didn't particularly enjoy. There were some things about it, but that I kind of enjoyed. But overall, this one just felt kind of mean-spirited to me. Like, it didn't have the same type of tone as the other two. Where this one just kind of felt where they were like, oh, we're just going to make them as grisly as they can be. We're just
Right.
going to make them super grisly. Like, they're kind of clever. They kind of have that Rube Goldberg device type thing going on where, all these things come together for it to actually happen. But part of it is Mary Elizabeth Winstead she kind of knows she has the photos, so she has clues to look for. So, like, when the scene's happening, the camera's constantly going around and showcasing things like, oh, it could be that. Oh, this could be a part of the step. This could be the next step. And it just felt like it was undercutting kind of how this all works in a way. And then it just, I don't know. It wasn't as entertaining as I found the other two, which is funny to say because entertaining and people dying really embarrassing deaths, but it just wasn't. It just felt like grisly for the sake of being grisly. Like, what's the most fucked up thing we can do to somebody? And it was just like, eh. And another thing that gets me is like the second one, and all these movies, or at least the three that I've seen now. The centerpiece is the opening. It's them going into a situation, them having the vision, them, seeing that vision play out, the editing, the pacing of it, all of that is where, like, you get to show off your chops as a filmmaker. And I think number 2 does a great, great job of that. And here, this one is just kind of shitty. And then the weird thing is that, like, it ends, and she gets off the ride, and a couple other people get off the ride. And then usually you have the thing happen, and here it's just like it starts to happen, and then it just cut away, and start the movie. Like, I don't know. It wasn't awful, but at the same time, it was really disappointing given how high I was on the first two.
Well, one thing to remember with that one is that it was shot in 3D, so you definitely got to
I
think
could,
about the 3D gimmicks
yeah,
that they were
yeah,
trying to think about when they were shooting that.
I could see that then. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. The roller coaster one, I was not. I don't. I think that was probably the weakest one. The NASCAR one is also pretty weak, but
The
then
NASCAR.
the NASCAR one's pretty fucking weak too. But then the bridge one, which was the last one, I think the bridge one kind of brought it back.
Okay, I'm excited for the bridge one.
The NASCAR
I'm
one's
I I'm not as excited for the NASCAR one, but at the same time,
it's
very, very
ridiculous.
intrigued. I'm extremely
It's
intrigued that there's one that's the NASCAR one.
it's utterly ridiculous. Yeah, that one's over the top. That one's pretty damn over the top.
Wow.
When you get to the haircut scene, and I can't remember, it's funny because I can't remember which one that is, but I remember the scene very vividly and thinking that it was very clever. All right, so that's Final Destination 3. The last one that I'll mention is a kind of an absurdist comedy called We Might As Well Be Dead. This is directed by Natalia uh, Sinilinkova, and it is a German dark comedy of sorts. It feels very much in the same vein as like a Lanthimos, like one of those where it's like very dry, not necessarily like overtly funny, but just absurd.
Okay.
And what this is about is it takes place in some sort of dystopian present that they don't really get into it, which I actually was one of the things I liked. But it seems like something bad is happening in the world, and there's this secured high rise where like it's completely safe, like it's surrounded by barbed wire fences, and like there's like all these sensors and security measures and stuff, and the people that live there, it's like this sort of utopian society. And um, the main character of this movie is she's like the security officer for the building, so she handles like any security matters. She watches the front desk. She anytime there's new uh, applicants, she's the one who like screens them and then shows them around and stuff like that. And basically what this is it's just like a social satire. You have all of these like old rich white people who control the whole building, and because of one sequence where the woman is sort of, she's out like on patrol and she sort of snoops on one of the residents, but they spot her, but they can't tell it's her. And because of that, they think that there's this like prowler, and it just causes all of this like turmoil, and it's like a complete breakdown where everybody all of a sudden like has, they're just riddled with fear and anger, and they want to reevaluate everybody who's lived there for less than 15 years. So anybody who's like younger, they want to reevaluate and possibly kick them out. And it's definitely, it's dry. It's a very slow paced movie, but I enjoyed myself quite a bit while watching it. I just liked seeing the day to day like inner workings of how this like high rise functioned, and I liked
Hmm.
the look of the high rise itself. It didn't look modern necessarily, but it just I don't know how to describe it. Maybe had a little bit of like a mid century modern look to it, but I liked the whole visual style, like the production design of the high rise itself, quite a bit. And yeah, overall, I liked it a lot. I can see this not working for a lot of people just because it's not as over the top and weird as like a Lanthimos. It's much more understated and sort of grounded, but the people are still ridiculous. And it doesn't like there's nothing like crazy that happens, but I still found it to be very entertaining. So I could definitely recommend We Might As Well Be Dead.
I mean, I am interested in this one. I'll definitely keep an eye out for it.
I think you'll like it.
Sounds kind of up my alley.
For some reason, I like movies that take place in like high rises. I like the idea of like high rise communities, like Cronenberg's Rabid. Like I really love the fact that that movie took place in a high rise. Interestingly, I wasn't a big fan of the movie High Rise, but I liked the concept of it.
It's just they went a bit too in on the high rise thing.
Yeah, I just didn't like how that one played out, but I like the setting.
Yeah, I didn't like that movie either. Don't like it. Can I tell you about a movie I did like? Event Horizon. Paul W.S. Anderson.
Oh yeah, Paul W.S. Anderson. We covered this on the '90s podcast a while back.
Yeah, I listened.
It's to that classic, episode, man. It is. And it reminded me.
I was like, I have not seen Event Horizon. It sounds as though something that I would thoroughly enjoy and
it's
love.
Pretty bonkers.
It is, and it's great. Space hell, wonderful concept. I love it. A gravitational gateway takes you to terrible places, and then people die. What more do you fucking want? It's like Spear, but with another ball that moves. That's gravity. That creates a black hole. That's great. I love it. I had so much goddamn fun with Event Horizon. I think it also really helped that it has Sam Neill, which I'm a big Sam Neill fan. He just makes me happy when he's in movies, and he gets to go off the deep end here, which I enjoy. And it was a great sci-fi movie, and that room, just the production design of that room, of that gateway, the black hole maker, it was just phenomenal. Especially like when he gets in like the little underground tunnel corridor thing with all the like fluorescent green motherboards and shit. It's just, man, it's great times.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Hellraiser a little bit. It's awesome. I love these. Like, I just feel like there's not that many of the like sci-fi horror movies that are like this, where they're just these like dark. They're set in space, but they're just kind of, usually it's like aliens and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that's kind of disappointing that we don't really have a lot of is this movie's just straightforward. They're like, we're going to get this ship. It disappeared. He tells you how the ship works. They get in there. Shit starts going bad. They try and leave. You can't leave. Boom. That's your movie.
There was
point A to point B.
There was another one that I liked a lot that felt very similar, and it was called Pandorum. It came out many years after Event Horizon, but that's another one that I think is underrated.
What's it called?
Pandorum.
Okay. 2009.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember that poster.
Yeah, the arm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dennis Quaid.
I saw that in the theater. Actually, it played theaters.
Norman Reedus. I always think that that's not a real name, but that is
Norman Reedus.
A real name. Yeah, I always feel like that's a character name. Like someone came up with a character name. Because he looks like someone that you would name Norman Reedus in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that person would actually exist in real life. But he does. He's there.
I love Norman Reedus.
I do too. I like him.
I need to see him in more stuff.
I think he came up with that name himself. There's no way that's his...
Maybe. I don't know.
It's a Christian name. Come on.
Yeah, apparently there's like a fabled director's cut of Event Horizon where like I guess Paul Thomas Anderson had to cut out
Paul Thomas
um
Anderson.
no, Paul Thomas Anderson.
I'll watch that. Fucking director's cut of another director. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson originally directed this. Um yeah, he uh Paul W.S. Anderson had to like he had this like original cut where it was like way more gory. Like there were all these like other crazy bloody set pieces and stuff that ended up getting cut out of the movie.
Mm.
But I don't think I think it might be lost media. Like I don't know that it'll ever come out.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But yeah, apparently there's like a really super gory cut of it. I mean, it's gory. It's already pretty damn gory.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. DC League of Super Pets is coming out. This is looks horrible. The
Yes.
animation looks god awful, and I don't support this movie at all.
Oh man, they're gonna be bummed to find out about that.
Yeah. So that's
Uh,
DC League of Super Pets. You know, maybe if the animation was better,
yeah, I
but I
don't know. I
feel like
just
these days animation, like I don't know what studio made this, but it just looks so lazy to me. Like not everything has to be CG, you know? Like we can come out with some hand-drawn 2D animation again every once in a while.
just like parts of it. There's got to be something that we could do, something different. It does
Yeah.
feel like a lot of animated movies are just kind of have the same art style.
I mean, I think that's one thing that set Spider-Man apart was that it was yeah, it was CG, but it was at least it was something different. VOD this week. Let's see. On the 26th, we have Blackwood. This is a Western. On the 27th, we have Recurrence on Netflix. Then on the 29th, we have The Reef Stalked. That's going to be on Shudder. We have Paradise Highway, Purple Hearts, which is going to be on Netflix, and How to Please a Woman. Yeah, it looks like a rom-com, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And then on Blu-ray, we have Voyage of the Rock Aliens from 1984.
Yes.
I don't know anything about that, but it's definitely going on my watch list on the title alone. We have Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind getting a 4K release. Species from 1995 getting a 4K release. Righting Wrongs from 1986. The Lost Cities coming out in 4K. That's the one with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock that came out earlier this year. We have I'm Dangerous Tonight from 1990. Jack and the Beanstalk. That's an Abbott and Costello one from 1952. Final Flesh from 2009. That's an AGFA release. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Thriller, A Cruel Picture from 1973 is getting a 4K release. That's also called They Call Her One Eye. That's the very graphic Christina Lindbergh thriller that is something else. That one's something else. It's kind of like a rape revenge movie, but it's pretty grisly. Red Lips from 1995. Two Undercover Angels and Kiss Me Monster from 1969. This isn't Superior from 2021. Raw Nerve from 1991. Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar is getting a 4K release. Let's see. Primal with Nicolas Cage from 2019 is getting a 4K release. Let's see here. The Oregonian from 2011
Oh wow.
coming out. I haven't thought about that movie in quite a while.
Yeah.
Let's see. Victoria from 2014. Ravage from 1997. Uncle Buck is getting a new Blu-ray release.
Oh nice.
I don't know if this is like doesn't look like it's any kind of special thing though.
Hmm.
And those are the biggies. What about Criterion's this week?
We have no criterions because it being the first week of the month. But I do want to say that Voyage of the Rock Aliens is available on Tubi.
Of course it is.
It's also a musical, apparently.
Oh no, I don't like that. That kind of turned me off a bit with the whole. I mean, I might still watch it, but or at least attempt to watch it and see how I feel about it.
You're gonna watch it. Sorry.
I might not watch the whole thing if the music really sucks.
Oh, I'm sure it's terrible.
But it can be terrible in a fun way.
Yeah.
If it's terrible in a fun way, then I'll keep watching it. But if it's just bad, then yeah. I also forgot to mention we're all going to the World's Fair is coming out on Blu-ray, and also the Gaspar Noé one, Lux Eterna.
Ah, okay.
All right, I think that's gonna do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That would be very much appreciated. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.